The 𝙤𝙖𝙢 stands to be quite the frustrating boss, even today. And if you happen to not remember who 𝙤𝙖𝙢 is, I absolutely promise you that you'll remember the arena. Walking through the fog gate and dying in under 3 seconds at the hands of 2 rabid dogs glancing at the staircase in the background, and then Capra standing there almost mocking you. The 𝙤𝙖𝙢 isn't one of the best bosses in the franchise, nor is it a cinematic spectacle. However, Capra's HP is low and the challenge lies in the arena's geography instead of the goat-headed demon itself. But regardless of the spectacle, I think I can comfortably say that it has ended more no-hit runs than almost any other early game encounter. But there is something quite unique about the design philosophy of Capra. The size of the room, the annoyance of the encounter, the presence of the dogs, the staircase, and even the shape of its head were all chosen for what seems to be specific reasons. According to the game's lore, 𝙤𝙖𝙢s are lesser demons spawned from the bed of chaos, the parasite created when the Witch of 𝘿𝙄𝙎 attempted to duplicate the first flame. One of these demons escaped the demon ruins, made its way to the lower undead burg, and established the area as its territory, and most importantly for our discussion, Capra employed, or rather tamed, feral dogs to guard the area alongside it. The lower undead burg is minuscule. It's a cramped living space with almost nowhere to run, purposely secluded from the upper burg, most likely a sign in class and status difference. With the Capra's arena being even tinier, a literal room with no room to even roll comfortably, and this aspect is where the controversy surrounding Capra seems to start. To some, it is badly designed. Others call it a brilliant piece of difficulty engineering, and both of these arguments, I suppose, are completely validated. But what did the developers actually intend? Like I briefly mentioned prior, the challenge to Capra lies more in the arena than it does the entity itself. Even in the tight spaces like the Taurus Demon Bridge, you have the verticality and distance to work with. The 𝙤𝙖𝙢 gives you almost nothing. The room is claustrophobic and a hindrance to any player regardless of your build. The narrow space means you cannot simply circle strafe around the demon like you might with Asylum Demon, or even someone scarier like Artorias. You cannot rely on any of the tactics you might employ throughout the early game, and you also do not have the comfort of a larger arena to manipulate Capra's AI through spacing and certain inputs. As The Gamer said, if you fought the 𝙤𝙖𝙢 and his pets in a larger arena, the fight would be trivial beyond belief. The dogs could be routed easily, and all it would take to bring Capra down is strafing behind it to its blind spots. The fight forces you to analyze your bad habits and unlearn them in real time, and figure out how you're going to get over the hurdle to the staircase and claim the prize of a falling R1, and that is exactly why the staircase seems to be the most important thing in that fight. The stairs are the only piece of terrain that breaks this pocket of space, and experienced players know that the entire fight is usually won or lost in the first 3 to 5 seconds, based on whether you can reach those stairs or kill both of the dogs at once in a fell swoop. The design and approach to Capra intentionally compresses your options down to a single desperate maneuver, something not seen in many other aspects of Dark Souls as an entire franchise, maybe only Seath being the other comparable encounter. But the room is only half of what makes Capra matchless within the franchise. Every element of 𝙤𝙖𝙢's physiology turns the claustrophobia of lower undead burg into an extension of Capra's own reach. The stairs might save you from the danger, of course, but you still have to survive the creature that made them necessary in the first place. The 𝙤𝙖𝙢 itself was likely designed by Daisuke Nakamura, one of From Software's art designers who handled the majority of the demon-type enemies in the game. In Dark Souls' DesignWorks interview, Hidetaka Miyazaki specifically singles out the 𝙤𝙖𝙢's head as an example of deliberate symbolic design. Miyazaki states, "The Capra Demon's head is an example of this. It gives a sense of ceremony and long-held tradition, which in turn hints at a developed culture. Details such as this can really improve designs by giving them a significance not present at first sight." So, Miyazaki explicitly connects Capra Demon to ceremony, to tradition, and importantly, a developed culture. He elaborates on this point when discussing Nakamura's demon designs more broadly. The reason why giving that monster a goat's head automatically grants it a demonic and ritualistic vibe is because the goat-headed demons have long been depicted in that way in various cultures. Symbols are symbols because they have established that position for themselves over many years, and it is not so easy for a totally new image to adopt a similar strength of visual influence. We know what goat heads have been used to represent throughout religious history and the connotations behind using one, and so Capra doesn't just tell you, okay, this is clearly demonic. It should tell you this is an entity that belongs to something much older than you, something with rituals and traditions that are clearly predefined and you don't understand, and you have been taught to fear. Which then brings us to the infamous dogs. Mechanically, the dogs rush the player immediately upon entering the arena, even before Capra registers that you're in there, attempting to send you back to the bonfire as quickly as possible. Their primary function is to stagger the player, creating openings during your stagger animations for the Capra Demon to then capitalize on. This, at least to me, is a very specific mechanical relationship that doesn't happen anywhere else in the franchise. The dogs are not environmental hazards like the hollows in Asylum Demon's arena or skeletons in Nito's arena. The dogs are part of the Capra's core design and function as a somewhat boss in their own right, turning the fight into what is essentially a combat puzzle. You have to deal with the dogs' speed while also respecting Capra's inputs and sheer amount of damage. In Dark Souls, most bosses are solitary encounters such as Gwyn, or they feature multiple enemies that are thematically unified, like 𝙁𝙤𝙎 𝙁𝙄 and the Four Kings. The Capra Demon is the only boss, at least to my knowledge, who brings an entirely different creature type into its arena as a core mechanic of that arena and fight. So what does all of this imply when we put it together? First, a demon has control over a non-demonic creature, reinforcing Miyazaki's statement about, quote, developed culture and ceremony, which then allows the player to gather the idea that a mindless beast would not maintain control over two species far removed from itself in a purposely fortified territory, wherein the demon in question has fortified itself, not man, and has established dominion. Second, the claustrophobic arena design implies something about Capra's nature that a larger arena simply would not be able to communicate. The Capra Demon doesn't need space to be threatening. It clearly thrives in confinement, as 𝘿𝙗𝑎𝑙𝑖th itself was also small, sealed away in a kiln of its own. And with Capra's being a lower, lesser demon, it's likely used to being, well, small. Capra Demon's swings are harder to dodge because there is nowhere to roll instead of into Capra Demon, where your iframes are not guaranteed depending on the RNG that the dogs give you. The dogs become exponentially more dangerous because you cannot create the distance needed to make a fair fight. In the development of the decay of Undead Berg, specifically Lower Undead Berg, Capra adapted accordingly to the urban environment of the Berg and learned to use the tight spaces formed by the upper class to subjugate the lower class to corner the chosen undead in, funnily enough, a forced display of stature, in which the Capra Demon did not possess itself back in Demon Ruins. I think this is why Capra Demon stands to be so different from any of the other demon fights, despite all of them being from the same design lineage, because Capra represents a design philosophy that Dark Souls very rarely seems to get credit for, which is the philosophy that boss difficulty should emerge from the entire ecosystem rather than pressure applied through stress. 𝙬 itself is not mechanically complex or even remotely difficult. Taken alone, 𝙬's attacks are very slow, very simple, and again, he has really no HP. The difficulty comes from the system around 𝙬, the room, the dogs, the staircase, the small size of the environment, the journey to the fog gate, and all in all of that seems to apply pressure on your stamina bar, also known as an ecosystem in a way. It is not a traditional boss fight, and for sure is arguably not fair in the way players expect fairness. It forces you to engage with the environment as a combat variable, to recognize that the fog gate is not leading to a duel, but instead an ambush. However, the lower undead burg is built and founded on ambushes, so with that in mind, is the unfairness so out of place to begin with? And when you finally do beat 𝙬and his pets, you have learned something fundamental about how Dark Souls operates yet again, an excellent lesson without being directly taught, something that happens multiple times throughout your playthrough. However, with all of that in mind, the 𝙬is absolutely not a perfect boss. The camera can famously betray you in some instances, the collision detection can trap you between a rock and a hard place, and most crucially, the first 3 seconds of you entering the fog gate determine if you'll make it through the fight or not. But on the contrary, I do subjectively believe that 𝙬 is deeply intentional in its design. From the goat head that Miyazaki chose, or rather accepted from his art team, for its ritualistic and religious symbolism, to the cramped arena that weaponizes claustrophobia, to the path to the fog gate teaching you what to expect, the lack of the threat 𝙬 demon alone presents, all the way to the 2 dogs that turn a effectively very simple fight into this desperate scramble for space. All of that comes together to teach that every single element serves a clear purpose. 𝙬 Demon is not a difficulty spike in terms of Dark Souls, and it is actually quite far from it. I believe that, like other areas, specifically geographically lower areas of Dark Souls, it's actually a marvel in game design, and sometimes From Software will annoy the living lights out of you just so you can realize that. Until next time, praise the sun, and in case you're hungry, there is a kitchen just down the way.
Don't you dare let yourself go hollow, lest my time spent on you be wasted.